listening to the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in. 5:15 from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. It is the Zach Gelb Show. Warriors go up 3-0 last night. You just have Kevin Durant with that ridiculous clutch three-point shot. So we got to continue to talk some hoops. We'll also get into the Sixers as well with the draft coming up at the end of the month. And we got to welcome on a big-time confidant of the Zach Gelb Show. Has been with me back to my days when I was doing, and now I sound like an old man, and I'm not an old man because I'm approaching my 23rd birthday coming up in August. But this guy's been coming on my show since I was on the internet at Showvio.com. Also came on my show when I was at Temple at WHIP, and now joins us at Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. He, of course, is the former assistant coach on the collegiate and NBA level, now working with ESPN3 as a men's college basketball analyst, and that is maybe one of the more entertaining guests we've ever had on, and that, of course, is the great, and I mean great, Dave Miller, who's kind enough to hop on board with us right now. Coach, appreciate a few minutes. What's happening, my friend?
Well, hey, I appreciate that intro, but I think I was in the operating room when the doctor cut the umbilical cord. That's how long I've known you.
Wait, hold on. So you're my father?
I wouldn't go that far. You're much better looking than me.
Well, I'll tell you this. All the time we go to these family events, and my parents are not that tall. They always ask me, they go, did the mailman get to your mom or something? Because they don't get how I'm like 6'4", all my friends.
Well, that's crazy. I have three kids. My oldest son that was coaching at Arizona, Alabama. He's now at Santa Barbara. And I had a middle son that ended up being about 6'3", 260, and he played fullback at San Diego State. And I'd always ask my wife, did you have any visitors? Because it was about the time he was conceived when I was coaching at West Point. So I was like, I never thought I could produce a kid that big being 6 foot 180.
How about that? You got to love it. Dave Miller with us right now. Okay, I got to get into what Paul Pierce had to say last night. He says Kevin Durant is the new best player in the league. I love the truth in Paul Pierce, but I think he's wrong on this one. How about yourself?
Well, I think he brings up some great points. I mean, up until this series, there's no doubt in my mind, and I get a lot of slack, and I did when Kobe was still playing out here in Los Angeles, that LeBron, the torch was passed. Obviously MJ gave it to Kobe. Kobe gave it to LeBron. LeBron, to me, is the greatest player on the planet for the simple reason that he can play all five positions. And when you look at both sides of the basketball, there's no doubt about it. Now, when you look at Kevin Durant, I'm a huge fan of his. I've known him since he was in about 10th or 11th grade. Big fan of his. And, let's go back to LeBron first, Zach. Everyone's talking that he's not clutch. Everyone's talking that he's fatigued, and they're talking about his game this week. The guy's averaging a triple-double in the NBA Finals. So I have yet to do what Paul has done in terms of say that KD is the best player on the planet. He's a four-time scoring champion. He's a former MVP. He's one of my favorite players in the league. But right now I put LeBron first, and, I put him in my top 2 or 3.
Break it down from a coaching perspective last night, the drive and kick play to Korver.
Well, it was a great play. I mean, it's a make or miss league. And when you talk about it, LeBron, what does everybody critique him about? He's not clutch. He doesn't take the pressure shot. LeBron is a freak of nature physically, but also the way he was taught basketball. He made the right play. It was a good look. They miss it. And then KD comes down, man, and just pulls the trigger right in LeBron's face with that three-pointer to take the lead. Again, make or miss, it was a good league. If you're drawing this up at a coach's clinic, you're going to say, hey, that was perfect basketball. Now, the haters and the guys that have never played or never coached are going to say, well, LeBron needs to take over. He needs to do this. He needs to do that. Listen, LeBron is who he is. He's been that way since you watched him play in high school. He's been in that way since he's been in the NBA. LeBron James plays the way he thinks it should be played, and he's played it pretty damn well for a long time.
Now, with that being said, and I agree with you, once he went to the left, I thought the driving kick was the right play, and Korver just has to hit that down. But I did hear Legs talk after the game last night, and he actually thought LeBron should have driven to the right because he had a little bit more space. When you look back at that play, if LeBron could do it again, do you think he goes right instead?
No, because it's easy again to critique it. We can get up on a board and Legs and I can break it down. We can bring in the czar from New Jersey, Mike Fratello. Listen, it's easy to second guess somebody, and it's easy to say, woulda, coulda, shoulda. I mean, if the Queen had a mustache, he'd be the king. He made the play that he thought was best. And no disrespect to Lake. He's an NBA player, one of my favorite guys on ESPN, so I value his opinion. But it really doesn't matter what he thinks, what you think, or what I think. That's what LeBron saw, and it's what LeBron did. If he makes it, great. Okay? There's happiness in Cleveland. He missed it. KD comes down. If KD misses it, it's a whole different complexion of the game. But that's what you do, man. You trust people. And again, 9 times out of 10, I think Porter's going to hit that shot. It was a great look. He just missed it. That's the greatness, and I'll make up a word, the funness about basketball, especially playoff style.
Well, you know that the best, because don't you put fun in fundamentals with your MVP camp?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I wish I had some shooters like Kyle Korver, then I'll tell you. But, you know, when you look at that game, to me, Zach, that obviously, and Stevie Wonder could have saw this, that was the best game of the series. There's no doubt about it. I wish that the other two would have been like that. And unfortunately, I see a sweep coming because I thought Cleveland played 45 to 46 minutes. 45 minutes. I mean, it was the last 3 minutes that I was really disappointed in their execution, their shot selection. I didn't think that they were together. We always like to say be on the same page. But think of the greatness of the Warriors. That by far was not just the worst third quarter of the playoffs for them, okay, at 15-0. I don't know if I saw them on the West Coast watching all the games. I don't know if I ever saw them have as bad a third quarter, and they were able to weather the storm. And everyone today talked about the 11-0 run to close out the game and win. You know, I liked the defense. I thought that really was a catalyst, and it spurred that 11-0 run. I mean, when you look at it, Cleveland was, I believe, and I'm driving, I don't have a stat sheet in front of me, they were like 6 for 23, 3 for 13, if my memory serves me correct. That was some hellacious defense that you saw by the Golden State Warriors.
Dave Miller with us right now, wrapping up with the former coach on both the collegiate and also the professional level, now running MVPcamp.com and with ESPN3 as a men's college basketball analyst. We'll talk a little bit about the draft in just a second. This Warriors team, you're a basketball savant. You've seen so much of the game and so many different generations. Are they the best team you've ever seen?
They're certainly one of them. I mean, listen, the Chicago Bulls were something. You can go back. Your dad and I remember the great Boston Celtics teams, and then people are going to say, well, the competition wasn't as good. I throw that out the window. I like the eye test. I like what I see. And LeBron said it, man, you talk about an offensive juggernaut. Even before the playoffs, this team comes at you with waves. And again, they certainly have as great a talent as you've seen put on the team, but to me it all starts with Steve Kerr, and it starts with the culture. You know, you see guys on other teams when a guy like KD takes over, or even when Steph Curry takes over, because there's so many guys that are capable of doing it. The shoulders go down. There's not a smile on your face. What Kerr has been able to do, and I don't care whether you're coaching in the Palestra, you're coaching at the YMCA at Teaneck, New Jersey, or you're coaching in the biggest arena in the NBA, man. To create a culture where people are happy for the success of others, you just don't have it. At your own radio station, you have people that don't want you to do well because you're competing against them. That's just human nature, and it's a sad commentary for our society. But when you think of the Warriors, this is a group of guys that are selfless, they have no egos, and it starts with Kerr creating a culture that we're going to play the right way. We're going to play fast. We're going to play furious. We want that ball to move. We're going to take good shots, and guys are actually happy for the success of others. I mean, when you think about that game, you know, Draymond only has 8 and 8. Iggy has 7. Sean Livingston 6, but they had so many plays that you didn't see on the stat sheet. Again, it's easy to see 31 and 9. You know, KD's working, and Clay. Finally, Clay came back to earth and gives you 30 and 5. I mean, Curry. What did Curry do? He dropped 26, but this was the important stat to me. He tied Kevin Love, who was a great rebounder, with 13 rebounds for a game high. So again, I definitely think I've never seen two teams enter the NBA playoffs, a combined record of 24-1. And again, I hope I got this right, being a graduate of Springfield College, the birthplace of basketball. No playoff team has ever gone 16-0. I remember the Lakers losing that one game to Allen Iverson, I believe. That ruined that. So we're about to see history be made at 67 wins this year, the 73 last year. They're certainly right up there with the greatest ever.
Now, Coach, your phone did crap out there for a second. I just got to make sure that I heard you right. Did you say people are rooting for me at this radio station to fail? Did I hear that right?
Absolutely. No, except for your producer and your board tech, there's people that don't want you to excel because, listen, you're one of the bright stars, and people are not happy for their neighbors. Everybody wants to outdo each other. And, it's like a great football school where the football program's great and the basketball coaches, they hate the football program. Listen, football programs at those big schools, they pay the bills and they supplement the whole athletic department. Be happy for the success of others, and it will come back twofold.
Wrapping up with Dave Miller right now. I got to find the people that don't like me here because, we got to get rid of them. I can't be working with people that don't like me, Coach. I don't like the sound of that. You make me feel bad here.
Hey, listen, man, go to the internet. 920, not 920 in Jersey.
Hey, yeah, I don't even want to look at Twitter anymore. Some of the things people tweet me, especially with some of the stuff that's been happening here, I know you get it as well. Okay, let's get to the draft with the Sixers. Sixers at number 3. Let's say everyone stays in place. 1 through 3, how do you see this draft playing out? Celtics take who? Lakers take who? Sixers take who?
Well, I'm not different than most experts. I mean, I think Fultz is going to go first, whether they keep him or not. Really a quandary, man, with the Lakers because I could sit here and we could do a whole segment on the positive things that I saw Ball at UCLA do. I can also break them down. The one thing about coaches and scouts, we all can watch somebody so many times and we just find the negatives as much as there's good stuff. The Jackson kid, I don't know. If you're the Lakers, let me ask you, do you watch basketball? What's been the Lakers' biggest deficiency the past 3 or 4 years?
The Lakers' biggest
take away that they don't have a superstar because you win in this league. As you see, Cavs have 2 superstars, and that's not good enough. The Boston Celtics have 1 star in Thomas. That's not good enough. So take away that the Lakers don't have superstars. What's been their biggest deficiency? Why have they been so bad?
I would say that it's a lack of an identity right now, and just the lack of the players they bring in. It seems like there's no chemistry. That's what I would say. I don't watch the Lakers every night, but that's what I get the feel of it.
Yeah, and you're not off, but I would say this. When you say identity, we're getting closer. They don't have a defensive identity. They can't stop anybody. Listen, this Laker team, that won a handful of games, they beat the Golden State Warriors. They could score. They had nights where they pass and they move the basketball. Well, what does Lonzo Ball do? His greatest asset was changing the culture at UCLA. He can pass. He's got great vision. But I don't know what type of defensive stopper he's going to be. And the reason I bring this all up, the kid from Kansas, Jackson, he's a defensive stopper. I get, offensively he's a work in progress. But right now, they don't have any pit bulls on the floor. They don't have any guys that can lock you up. They struggle, Zach, every time down the floor, staying between their man and the basket. So ultimately, that puts you in rotation every single time. The other kid that's intriguing, Fox from Kentucky. Again, I can break down his shot. It's not great, but again, his size and his defensive tenacity. So, as everyone's looking at it, I think to answer your question, it goes Fultz, it goes Ball, it goes Jackson. If I'm with the Lakers, I may shake that up a little bit. But again, I'm not watching as much tape as they are. I'm sort of tuned into the finals, and I'm enjoying my days in Manhattan Beach, body surfing and boogie boarding.
That must be some scene to see. Real quickly before we let you run, just the father element. We've had Lavar Ball on this show. Everyone's had Lavar Ball on this show. How about the father element? What do you make of it with Lavar Ball and his son Lonzo?
Well, listen, I recruited college basketball for 20 years. And, my greatest tune was taking Jamal Faulkner from Christ the King away from Temple. And, and you're a little bit too young for that name, but boy, did John Chaney recruit his tail off. And how was I going to be one of the greatest coaches in college basketball at Temple University in their heyday? And for some reason, I was able to convince Jamal Faulkner that he would like to practice at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what's funny? Since you brought that up, I told that to Coach Chaney, actually. I remember having this conversation with you. I told that to Coach Chaney last time he was on the show.
What did he say?
He was go, see, that's what all those college coaches would do. They would use the practicing in the morning against me. That's what he was saying.
Listen, that was the only way I was going to beat one of the greatest college coaches, bless his heart. But anyway, what was my point? I lost my train. The father figure. So So listen, I've dealt with Lavar Balls for 20 years. You go to any AAU game and just listen in the stands. They're a dime a dozen. I will say this when it comes to the NBA. The NBA stands for no babies allowed. So when that kid, whether it's in LA or he goes to any other team, that is not going to be a factor with the kid, the playing time. There'll be no conversations with the head coach. This isn't high school where you want to call up and ask why your kid's not getting time or why you didn't run a play for him. But I think where it's hurting the kid is in terms of endorsements, in terms of marketing, in terms of money off the court. Because I don't know this to be a fact, but if you're a CEO and you want this kid to endorse your product, you've got to take a serious concern. Is the dad going to come out and say something, and then you're going to have to cancel it or backtrack? That's the one negative that I see for money off the court. But when it comes to basketball, listen, Luke Walton's a great example. His dad is a big loudmouth. His dad is a bigger than large personality that will say stuff that will curl your toenails. And it really never bothered Luke with Luke Olson at Arizona. So I don't see it being a problem from a basketball standpoint. And I think the kid is really a nice kid. And I don't know him, but I've been around him a couple times. I don't think that's going to be a problem whatsoever.
And then finally, just the future of the Sixers. We talk about the draft pick they have coming up in this year's draft. They got the Lakers pick unprotected next year, the Kings pick unprotected the year after that. You got some nice pieces with Simmons and Embiid. How far away do you think the Sixers team is from really competing in the NBA?
Nobody knows that because they've got great young core. But, you sit there and you try and look into the crystal ball and you try and figure it out. Nobody's going to know until they get the pieces on the floor. Do they play hard? Do they play together? Do they play smart? Listen, I'm really high on the basketball staff there. They certainly have done a good job acquiring talent. Now they got to get out and play. I mean, they've got the pieces that a lot of people would covet. But listen, anything could happen. An injury could happen in the blink of an eye. The chemistry might not be there. So I don't know where they're or how long it's going to be. I know that they have the right pieces, and now that they're getting better, now the pressure on your coaching staff. There was no pressure on Brown, and he's been able to go in there, and he coaches every game like he's in an NBA final, and it's the last game that he's going to coach. Hopefully he's been able to implement his culture like Steve Kerr has, and they continue to get better pieces. But now you get guys out there, you get them healthy. Hey, man, just like I said, it's a make-or-miss league. It's a win league, and if you don't win, he'll be fired in a second. So they've got to come together. They've got to gel. They've got talent. Let's see what stars are going to be able to emerge. But I like what they're doing. That will always be my favorite team. I mean, I grew up in the era with Dr. J and George McGinnis and Doug Collins and World B3. I mean, Steve Mix coming off the bench. That was my team growing up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I keep my fingers crossed every single day that my Sixers get back on track and they can start to win and at least start to rise up in the standings in the Eastern Conference.
By the way, where are you driving around right now?
Right now I'm in Marina Del Rey. I was over having lunch in Venice Beach, and I'm right on the coastline right now, and as we're driving, thank gosh I have a holder for my phone, but I'm peering at a couple dolphins going up and down in the water, but that's going to pull over and take a picture and send it to my mom in Allentown.
You got it, Coach. Hey, you're always the best, Coach. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. Enjoy the weekend coming up.
Okay, give your regards to your family, and keep doing the job that you're doing, because as proud as I am of the 76ers and where they're headed, I couldn't be prouder than you. You're a young superstar in this business, and I'll tell you, whether you're a young kid in college and you're a basketball player and you're someone like you that had a dream, you're living proof that nobody's going to tell you no, and no matter what you had to do, and trust me, I remember you calling me and getting me on when you were on the internet in your basement and your dad was setting things up. You are a real success story, and one day when you're put into some kind of Hall of Fame, I'm going to have a twinkle in my eye, and I'm going to get a tear coming down my face because I'm one of your biggest fans.
Well, I love you, Coach. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. That means a lot.
Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.
There is Dave Miller. See, Dave Miller always...
Trust the process.
That's right. He always trusted the process with me. I love that guy. I got to talk to him, though, a little bit. See, if he's going to make a comment like that, his cell phone's got to be a little bit better.